Good morning, folks. So it's very heartening to come here. Feels like family every time I come here. And thank you, Dr. Bhatia and WHRD Forum. Interacting with so many HR professionals, practitioners, it's really energizing. So what I'm going to present to you today is a lot of data. So we are in the world of AI, and AI cannot work if we don't have data. Now the question is, what's the source of data? Where the data comes from, and what's the reliability of that data? I think our focus and my personal focus is first to investigate where the data is coming from, because data is available all kind of places, and it gets hallucinated, it gets so much transformed from where it is. So I think today's presentation is talking about a few charts, understanding and implications of some of those things that impact us and our workforce. So first of all, let me explain where the data comes from. So this is our own data. So ADP is a worldwide HCM company. We, any given point in time, payroll 42 million people. So every sixth US citizen is paid by ADP. So it's our data, and we produce tons of data. And we operate in 140 countries. So we have a significant spread across the country, and we capture workers' sentiments very, very frequently. Towards that, we have what is called as ADP Research Institute, so that it focuses on collecting the data, analyzing the data, interpreting data, and of course, interpreting in a manner that we can predict future trends. We service 1.1 million customers and payroll and time and attendance, two very important aspects of our services. So this is the ADP Research Institute. We do this exercise year on year, and we had been doing it for several years. So data consistency, again, is very important. We can run multiple AI tools, multiple other tools, but I think the origin and the reliability of data to us is very, very important. So this particular trend report, a few snippets of which I'm going to show you, comes from the data that we have collected after surveying 34,000 people in 18 countries. So it's a fairly widespread data, significant depth as well. And please challenge these interpretations. So you can ask questions, and we can discuss and debate about it. So today I'm going to present 4 items, not too many charts, but I think 10 to 12 charts, and then magic happens in the last slide. I've spent half of my time outside of India, but I am a die-hard Indian. So last slide is what I love the most. So we'll discuss and debate about the last page. We'll talk about 2 macro items, two themes in labor market trends, 2 workforce sentiments, and how do we amalgamate all this data, and then one implication and one application of a data of all these that we have spoken about. So first of all, global growth is expected to slow. So this is all before 3 T's. Anyone could guess what 3 T's are? Trump, trade, and tariff. So all these survey reports, worker sentiments are before Trump has taken over, right? So that's a disclaimer. But nevertheless, I think GDP growth is slowing down. The growth is slowing down. So you would see a marginal increase, but when you look at the growth, that's slowing down. The good news is emerging economies like us, they are doing pretty well comparatively. The second important macro that we consider always, amongst many others, but here I'm talking about inflation. And inflation is very closely related to workers' sentiments. And I use workers in a loose manner. So workers means employees as well. Workers do not mean shop floor workers alone. So inflation is coming down. But as you would have seen last year and couple of years, workers, their salaries are increasing, but they always feel that they are not saving enough money. Their disposable income is much less, because Many a times, especially in Europe, the energy prices have skyrocketed, and they're feeling that, whilst employers are taking care of them, but at the end of it, they have less money to spend. So global inflation and inflation in each of these countries is an important parameter and yardstick that we need to measure. Let's look at 2-3 labor market trends. One big trend is, and this is not a trend, this is a fact, that global workforce is shrinking. We all know that. And it's getting concentrated, it's getting regionalized. So if you look at that pie chart, you would see Asian countries and African countries. That's where the global workforce is getting concentrated. And that's good news for countries like India. That's good news for, call it, global south. But that's a very, very conspicuous trend. And if we dig deeper, this is very interesting. So let's look at what happened in 1990s, right, 30 years back. Global workforce, the workforce was primarily all the Western countries, Japan, South Korea, Germany, Italy, United States, France, China, United Kingdom. 30 years later, none of these countries figure in the list. And fast forward another 30 years, except for India, none of those countries, including China, appear in the list. And this is not my data, this is not ADP data, this is World Bank's data, and fairly credible. Interestingly, global employment rate is back to normal post-COVID, and not significant increase in unemployment rate, which is important, and that also drives multiple views around workforce sentiments. We'll talk about two sentiments here, and what you see in this slide is salary and flexibility. These are two important, most important items for workers. We all know that these days, right? Salary and flexibility. But when we slice this data further and look deeper, what we find is, along with salary and flexibility, job security is another theme that pops up across the regions, right? So data seeing in one dimension is never a good idea, but I think what we can infer is three items: flexibility, salary, and job security. Very, very important drivers for workforce sentiments. And I think many of you would agree that 1 in 5 workers report that they feel insecure about the job. And I was reading somewhere and talking to many people, especially after this Davos summit. Every CEO said, "Hey, AI is so interesting, right?" So last year, if you look at it, Davos was actually an AI summit. Every company wants to talk about AI, its use cases, and so on and so forth. This time, when you look at it, the top CEOs, they feel AI, it's muted, right? There's not so much of noise. Why? Because companies like us and many others, they have invested so much in AI, hundreds of $millions, right? Because the compute power is so much. The data that you require is the governance and everything else. And when you look at the yield, the returns, I think it's a big question mark. No one talks about it. Everyone thinks that AI will bring efficiency, but that may be 5 years and 10 years. And you have to front load the cost right now. So what happens during this course, right? During this period when you have invested so much in AI, but you have not getting yield or results, then actually workers get impacted. So companies have to drive efficiency. They have to go for margin expansion because you have to invest in AI. And what do they do and how do they do it? They have to drive efficiency through multiple other means, but not AI. And that's why, if you look at it, the results and, whilst we talk about use cases, but I think the results and the yield on the desired results is a big question mark. So I think that's one of the reasons why workers feel a little bit insecure about, in general, but AI is one of the factors, is what I think though AI itself is not a factor. I think we all, post-pandemic especially, we are living in an era of flexibility, flexibility in terms of location, where you work, and timings, how you work. And therefore, I see there's a lot of companies now looking for time and attendance solutions. They want to keep a track of, when and how people are working and where they're working. So, but I think the bottom line is 60% of the people would love to have flexibility, and employees would have to give that flexibility to retain them. And I think data shows that, and I think good news is more and more organizations have embraced this easily, right? So much easily now than what it was a few years back. Another thing that Indra ma'am spoke about, stress at work. Very important theme, I think, because to me it directly relates to the productivity of the organization, well-being of the organization. And the chart itself is very clear. The young workers, first-timers in the job, they are most stressed at work. Multiple reasons, but that's the group that requires a little bit of TLC, I say, tender love and care. And US employees are the most stressed folks in the world. APAC comes the last, and when we further dig into this detail, India is the least stressed country. It's very, very interesting. And when you reflect back, I think when we onboard new young associates, we spend a lot of time with them. We connect with them. We onboard them, we train them on the job. I think our ecosystem, compared to many other countries, I think is a lot more conducive, congenial for young people. I think we welcome them. The family values and the culture that most of the organizations have today, I think is remarkable. And I think Dr. Bhatia's company is also a media company. So work stress is most reported in media and hospitality sectors. But I think hybrid workers report less stress, that we all know. I think interesting thing is AI's impact on the workforce. And this is one page that I picked up from the entire report. 40% of the people, they feel that AI will impact them or their function in some way or in a holistic way, right? So I think 40% is a large number. 1 in 4 people, they feel that AI will have an adverse impact on their jobs. And maybe that's one of the reasons why workers feel insecure. So how do we put all these data and many other elements that we have captured into action? So what we built was a very interesting thing called Motivation and Commitment Index. And this is my last slide, which is amazing, right? You would see in motivation and commitment, and this is the element that drives productivity, that makes an organization successful. India tops the chart, right? So Indian workers are most motivated, and they are much more committed than any other in the world. And I think I love this slide, and I truly believe this. So I thought I'll ask any one of you would like to comment on why do you see that happening in India? Why do you think Indian workers are much more committed and motivated? In their blood, okay. What else? What else could be the reason? I mean, this is data. This is not an interpretation. This is data that we have collected. Values, culture. Yes, sir. Okay, hunger. Alignment with the organization. Upbringing. Could be many more reasons, right? But this is consistent. because of HR, of course. I mean, our contribution cannot be understated, right? So I think yes, and I feel very proud of the fact that I'm in a country where all of us want to succeed. All of us are motivated and committed to the purpose and the work that we do. So thank you so much for all the time, and any comments and thoughts would be most welcome.
One of the slide you showed, one of the 5 employees across the industry have the job insecurity.
And that's a worldwide data, not an India data.
Not India data. So whether there is any study advantage has done, what may be the possible reasons why the job insecurity, whether it is stress, whether it is the job role, whether it is the particular industry have more job insecurity. Like for example, attrition rate in technology industry is high, manufacturing is slightly low. So whether this has any causative factor or anything?
Yeah, so when I read the report in detail, a few things come. There is huge amount of regional variation. For example, when we go to Europe, the job security is at the highest. And why? Because the organizations are shutting down. When we go to manufacturing sector within Americas, job security is very high, right? So I think, and that's one of the reasons why we cannot pin down on one of the factors. In many places, job security because of AI is significant. So it's a combination of geopolitical factor, macroeconomic factors, regional play as well. So multitude of factors.
I just wanted to congratulate you for giving us so much empirical and practical data, and which is very useful for all the HR professionals. And it gives a lot of insight about understanding the whole dynamics of the workforce globally. Thank you so much, Rahul.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.